Thank you everyone for being here. I'm really excited about today's meeting. It is June of 2025 and there's a lot to celebrate. The website name has, we now have three names on the website to help make it easier for people to get to the website. So we've got modifynota.org, that's our original, nkidneydesk.org and nkidneydesact.org. So we own all of them. And I'm working on getting some Google up so that it's going to be easier for people to get to our site. There have been some issues in the past, so very excited to fix this problem. I was in a meeting this afternoon with Representative Kennedy's staffer, and the reason we had the meeting is because a new community member, Joe Haney, a non-directed donor, wrote an op-ed in the local newspaper, and that was about asking, the focus of that article was asking Representative Kennedy from Utah, who's also a medical doctor, to co-sponsor the legislation. That day we got a meeting with the office. I had tried multiple times prior. Really happy we got the meeting, and that was this afternoon. And during the meeting, I love the way Joe said that this is a win for everyone. So I just made this, most bills have winners and losers, not the Kidney Deaths Act. Everyone wins. Patients get kidneys, donors get support, taxpayers save billions. Hashtag win, win, win. I just thought that was excellent. So thanks to Joe for that. These op-eds are really effective. So we've had I think about 15 published since our last meeting. Mm-hmm. And this op-ed came out this morning in the San Diego Union, written by our community member, Nancy Marlin, who's a kidney recipient, an excellent advocate. So it comes out this morning. It's a plea to her Representative Sarah Jacobs, to co-sponsor the legislation. And by this afternoon, Representative Jacobs said she would co-sponsor the legislation. Yes. Highly effective and very beautiful. So we got to keep this momentum going. Grace Zhu, our communications intern, is a wizard. She's incredible, and she's able to support people through this process. If you are writing op-eds and you haven't yet heard from the newspaper that you've written it to, be in touch with Grace. We will give you other newspapers that you can submit your work to, but we have to get these into print. The smaller the newspaper, the better. I know that might be counterintuitive, but legislators are very aware that their voters read these newspapers. And so I think that they're even more effective than the big newspaper for getting the movement going in the right direction. So the good news is that we now have 19 co-sponsors, but it's simply not enough. We, of course, need far more co-sponsors in order to get the bill rolling through the House. This is a breakdown by state of who our co-sponsors are. And this is the list of the names of co-sponsors that we currently have. It's great, and we will just continue to get more and more people indicating that they will vote yes on the NKD. Okay. Now, a lot of people, including me, were super hopeful that the NKD Deaths Act would be wrapped into the reconciliation tax bill. That was the plan with Representative Maliotakis's offices last year. But it turns out that Maliotakis's office thought that the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, might score the NKD Deaths Act as costly versus the way that they score the bills sort of depends on, I don't know what. So you need a crystal ball to figure out what the CBO will do. How will they score it? And so they didn't want to take that risk. But it is good news, and it remains good news, that Speaker Johnson is in favor of the bill, as well as Senator Thune, the leader of the Senate. So it's just a question of time and energy. We will get this bill to finish. And I'm speaking in the next week with both co-leads offices about our strategy for getting this bill to the finish line. Will it be a standalone bill? Will it be wrapped into another package? That is to be determined, but that doesn't change the nature of our work, which is persuading our leaders to say yes to co-sponsoring the legislation. The American Society for Transplantation has created a living donation incentives task force of 15 people. Now, I've spoken about it many times. The AST has already conducted 2 surveys of their membership, both in 2009 and in 2015. And then both surveys, the constituents agreed, the majority agreed that pilot programs for donor compensation are a good idea. So, you've had 2 surveys. Why do you need to put the decision of the AST's determination about what's best to do, how best to present their opinion about donor compensation. Should they leave it up to 15 people, or should they rely on the 2 surveys they've already conducted? And so sort of a story to be continued. When we look up the End Kidney Deaths Act right now, you can see that among the top stories is that Journal of the American Medical Association opposition article that fortunately I will have a letter to the editor published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in July. I co-authored a letter to the editor opposing that Viewpoint article with Arthur Mattis and Frederick Ambachir. So that is good, but it's not coming out till the end of July. We need far more great stories written about the End Kidney Deaths Act to try to push down that article so it doesn't come up in the top 2. But that's something that's a work in progress, and we will get that done. But if you do Google End Kidney Deaths Act, there are pages and pages of excellent articles about our legislation. Just want to share a cute story from this past month. I was at a comedy club, and as you know, unless I'm in these kind of meetings, I'm wearing a shirt that says "Pass the End Kidney Deaths Act" or a sandwich board which says the same. So I was wearing a sweatshirt, and the comedian said, "Hey, what is that all about?" And I told the audience, and the second I completed describing what the End Kidney Deaths Act is, everyone broke into applause. So I just want to share with you, and this is probably not a surprise, people love this bill, and they often love it instantly. It is such a great idea, and so we just need to persuade Congress to do the right thing. This is just a quick look at the number of donors, living kidney donors in the last 25 years. As you can see, we've never broken past 7,000, and nothing anyone has done to this point has increased the number of living kidney donations, the gold standard of kidney care. If you have energy and you haven't yet submitted a JAMA comment, please do so. People are going to that page. There have been 4,000 views of that article. 2 of the 37 comments are in favor of the article and opposed to the End Kidney Deaths Act. 35 excellent comments written by many of you are in favor of the End Kidney Deaths Act. We could use more, because when you open up the article, it's behind a paywall. You can't read it. But if someone wants to browse through the comments, it's great for them to see an abundance of amazingly supportive comments. So feel free to write more. I think I might have shared this with you earlier, but there was a study done last month that only 30% of Americans state that they would donate a kidney to a loved one. And this is a good article to share with people if they wonder why we need the Deaths Act. The fact is that people are dying because of people's reluctance to donate and people's inability to qualify to donate. That's also an enormous issue. This is just something to be proud of in terms of being from the United States. Even though we've got a long way to go, we are #1 in the world for kidney donation. And so I'm really proud to see this. I know we've got much further to go, and I'm confident when the End Kidney Deaths Act passes that we will inspire people all over the world to have similar legislation to save the lives of those who will definitely die without compensating donors. This is just some more great news about the transplant program in the United States. I see that there are so many heroes in the transplant world, and I'm just delighted to be a part of it in the sense that, like, I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of the deceased donation system, the living donation system. We just got to do more. Since 1998, there have only been 4,900 Americans who've donated kidneys to strangers. That is just not enough. Let's talk about media. In the End Kidney Deaths Act media department, we've had 18 articles since May 1st. And here are the articles we've had, and actually one is a podcast, but I will share these with you after the meeting, and they're also on our website. One thing I just want to point out is that if you look at the, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th one, the Darien Times, Greenwich Time, and Connecticut Insider, there was an article written asking Representative Himes to be a co-sponsor. Unfortunately, it was printed in 3 local papers. So I think that's something really great. And there's going to be an article, I think, coming out soon in the Florida Keys, and hopefully in multiple local Keys newspapers. So the more the merrier, of course. And as I said earlier, the smaller the paper, often the more its impact on the congressional member. And by the way, Representative Liccardo was the same story. Jeff wrote his article, his op-ed, and the next day, Liccardo said that he would co-sponsor. So these are really effective. This is something I received from one of our community members, just saying to her friends, that her birthday's coming up, and what she wants for her birthday is to advocate for the End Kidney Death Act. So just thinking about bringing in more of your community members, because we need quantity, right? When I write to a congressional member and I don't have any constituents on that email, it's a far weaker email. So the more people we have on our list who are willing to have their names included in emails to congressional leaders, the stronger we are. Now, how can you advocate? Of course, the writing and calling of your House leader is key. Clicking and sharing the action button, you know all about that. Not enough of us have done that. I'm going to put those links in the chat soon so you can do it during this call if you haven't done so in 2025. If you did it in 2024, it no longer counts, right? You got to do it. It's a new congressional session. You can comment on articles, and everyone did such a good job. I think we had we had about 40 comments on the Yahoo article, which was widely shared. And Yahoo has millions of subscribers, so that was great. We need those positive comments there so people know that so many people are behind the End Kidney Death Act. As I said earlier, encourage more people to advocate. Write an op-ed, and when I say write it, we will write the draft for you, and you can revise it and submit it. So we will support you along the way. You don't have to start from a blank page. We will help you. And I'm forming what I'm calling the communications committee. This is a group of people who are okay with getting emails from me about, post this, comment on that. Just people who are really into that kind of social media commenting and posting. I need your help, and I'm creating this committee so that I don't bug everyone to comment all the time. I can just have a smaller group and share my posts with them. So our next meeting is July 1st at 5 p.m. And thank you so much for listening.